Baby tees are back from the 90s, and today we are trying all of the most highly recommended baby tees across many different brands, many different price points to see who does it best. We have a variety of fabric options from kind of soft, buttery, athletic materials to cotton blends to ribbed to waffle, everything you can think of. And we already have Peach here making some biscuits on her pillow. If you guys are new here, my name is Catherine. We like to do very in-depth reviews, and today we put all of these baby tees to the test. If you don't know what a baby tee is, it's basically not quite a t-shirt, not quite a crop top. It's kind of that perfect waist length, kind of just shrunken down t-shirt. It can have kind of a tighter fit or slightly relaxed depending on your preferences. And they generally all have a little bit of stretch to them to accommodate different body shapes, busts, etc. Some things we'll be going over for every item is sizing. I generally wear a size small in everything, so that's kind of my baseline size. I did get a size small in everything, but I did get a couple extra smalls, a medium, just because I wanted to get mostly white. Because as we all know, white colored shirts, especially if they're a little bit more form-fitting, can definitely be sheer. So we tested all of them for sheerness. I wore all of the white tops with a nude bra and a black bra underneath. We also go over the lengths. There are a couple different length definitions I'm gonna go over. There's cropped, which is above the natural waist. Waist length, which is kind of the ideal baby tee fit, right along the natural waist. There's high hip, which is right at the top of my hip bones, so kind of just below the waist. Mid hip, which is a little bit over that, and then full hip is just full length. For reference, I am 5'9" and I do have a longer torso, so I'll also be measuring all of the baby tees just so you know for your own reference, but for most people these will probably cover a little bit more skin than me. We'll also be going over price, of course. Honestly, most of these are pretty reasonably priced, around the $20 to $30 range, but there are a couple more expensive options and a couple super cheap options that turned out to be really good, so stay tuned. I also tested all of the tees for sweat, and obviously that's kind of difficult to do just in my little studio setting. So we improvised a little sweat test. Basically, I took a little cotton pad and soaked it in water, wrung it out a little bit, and then placed it under my arm and kind of like simulated like armpit sweat, so you can see how much sweat each of these showed. I'll have a couple other comments on sweat as well. And finally, we'll be going over the fit of each one, so a couple different fit definitions. Skin tight is self-explanatory. It's going to be snug across all areas of your body, no looseness, definitely on the more snug side. Body skimming kind of contours your body, but may have a couple areas where there's some slightly looser fabric. It's not just compressing you. And then we have relaxed, where there will be areas where it does touch the body, but for the most part, it kind of floats away from the body. All right, without further ado, let's get into the baby tees. We are separating these out by fabric types. So we're starting off with cotton blends. First, we have the Abercrombie Essential Baby Tees. I did get an extra small and a small. I got the extra small because the small white didn't come in my size, and I really wanted to get the white. So this is a 95% cotton, 5% elastane. And this one is $25, so I would say reasonably priced. And the material is definitely a more lightweight stretch cotton. So it has high stretch, but it's a little bit on the thinner side for cotton. This one was a perfect baby tee length for me. I measured 17 inches and it just hits right at my waist. In terms of the fit, it was kind of more snug to body skimming in the extra small. So personally, I would like the size down just because I do like my baby tees a little bit more on the tighter side. I honestly feel like they stay a little bit longer, or they stay better down on my body when they are tight. The small was slightly relaxed, especially at the bottom. So if you stick with your normal size according to their size chart, you will have a little bit of extra fabric. In terms of sheerness, unfortunately, this one was pretty sheer in the white. You could kind of see my nude bra underneath, and you could definitely see the black. So this fabric is just a little bit on the thin side. That's one reason why this is not my favorite. Definitely overall has minimal logos and very minimal branding, just a nice classic shirt. But in terms of the cotton tees, there are better options. And in terms of the sweat test, minimal showed in the white, but quite a bit did show in the gray, and it did not dry very quickly. It definitely wanted to hang on to that sweat. So for me, this is not a favorite. The next of the cottons, we have the Alphalete Baby Tee. This one is my normal size small, and this one is $32. So still in that lower price point, but a little bit more than the last one. This is a 94% cotton, 6% spandex, and this is a slightly thicker cotton compared to that Abercrombie, but it still has some good stretch to it. It just has a little bit more structure. This one also is a really nice waist length, 17 inches, kind of perfect baby tee length for me. This one has minimal seam details, just kind of a plain cotton design, but it does have an Alphalete silicone word mark right across the front. This is the only one that really has kind of front and center branding, but in all of the different colors, it is tonal branding. So I'd say it's minimally noticeable, but if you don't want branding, this one's probably not for you. In terms of the fit, this one is kind of on the slightly relaxed side. I do have a little space in the sleeves and definitely some space in the waist. So if you want more of a body skimming fit, I would size down from your normal size. In terms of sheerness, there is a little bit of sheerness in the white, but this is a little bit thicker than that Abercrombie. So for me, it's doable, but don't expect full opacity. And honestly, every single top today is going to show sweat, but for cotton, I feel like this one doesn't show sweat super quickly because it's a little bit thicker. And whenever you have shirts that are just a little bit thicker, the sweat just takes a little bit longer to get to the surface and show. So it definitely shows some sweat, but I would say it's not the worst. So overall, I prefer this cotton material compared to the Abercrombie. I love the length, but personally, this fits a little bit on the more relaxed side, just my personal preference, I would size down. And I do think this would be better without the logo. Next, we have the first of our SKIMS tops. This is the SKIMS cotton jersey tee. A lot of you guys recommended the SKIMS baby tee to me. Doesn't exist, so I bought 3 different SKIMS baby tee options. So we have all of those in here today. And this is their cotton jersey option. I got a size small in this kind of off-white color. I think it's called marble. This was $48. All of these SKIMS ones are definitely, I think, like the most expensive of today. This is a 90% cotton, 10% elastane. And this is kind of a light to mid-weight cotton. I'd say just a little bit more lightweight than the Alphalete, but has a little bit more stretch to it. This one's more high stretch. And this one also is 19.5 inches. I measured them all from top of the shoulder to the hem. This one's more of a mid-hip length, so if you're not wanting to show any skin, this one is like almost a full length. In terms of the fit, the top half is definitely skin tight, but the bottom is a little bit more body skimming. It's not like squeezing me at the bottom, but just kind of has like a tiny bit of extra space. Not relaxed though. So personally, I would stick true to size for this one, unless you want it to be a little bit more relaxed, then I would be sizing up. In terms of sheerness, this one definitely had a little bit of sheerness going on, but not too bad. So I was okay with the nude bra, but definitely would stick to only nude under these lighter colors. Sweat did show pretty easily on this one. This one is not super thick, so I feel like the sweat showed kind of quickly. And for the most part, cotton fabrics kind of hold on to the sweat, so not something I'd work out in, but I think for day to day I would be okay. Very minimal seams and logos with this one. And I feel like this one, of all the cotton options, has a good amount of stretch retention. Some of the cottons feel like as soon as you pull on them, they kind of stretch out, but this one feels like it goes back to its normal form. So I really like the material on this one. I think this one's just maybe a teeny bit long for me, and it's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's definitely a good option. Next, we have the Aritzia TNA HomeStretch Crew tops. These come in a ton of options, including the waist length, which is kind of their classic baby tee, and then they also have a full length. But in addition to that, they also have different neckline options. They have long sleeves, so I just got these two. And we'll start with the waist length because this is like a true baby tee. So I got a size small in this one, and this was $25, so very on par with Abercrombie. This is a 94% cotton, 6% elastane, and this is actually a ribbed material, so it's not just a plain cotton. I would say this one's definitely on the kind of light to mid-weight side, definitely thicker than the Abercrombie because it has that ribbing to it, but it still definitely has high stretch. In terms of the length, this one is just kind of slightly above the waist. I wouldn't quite consider it cropped, but it is 16.5 inches compared to some of the others like 17 to 18. So this one could be a teeny bit longer for me, but I do have a long torso, so this might be perfect for most people. Generally, I'd say waist length. And this was a body skimming fit, so not super skin tight, but not loose anywhere. So very true to size, stick to your normal size. If you really want more compression, you could size down. And if you really want something a little bit looser, you could size up. Unfortunately, this one was pretty sheer in the white. You could see the black underneath very clearly, and even the nude was just not ideal. So I really didn't love this fabric. I also just feel like it didn't have a lot of stretch retention like the SKIMS. It definitely feels like it could kind of stretch out. Definitely shows some sweat. I feel like the ribbing helps a little bit, so I wouldn't say it's great with sweat, but it's not the worst. So yeah, I'm just not loving the fabric on this one. Just a little bit sheer. I feel like it stretches out a little bit, and I think there's better cotton options. Just quickly, we have the Aritzia HomeStretch Crew t-shirt. This is the full length, and I got a size small in this one as well. And this one was also $25. Same material, so kind of similar issues to the last one. I do feel like it would stretch out just a little bit. It is a soft cotton material, so it's not itchy in any way. Just something about it just didn't feel like super nice quality when I was wearing it. I know it is affordable, but we have some good affordable ones too. So this one is a full length over the hip. So if you're just not into baby tees, you want a full length, this is for you. It also has a similar body skimming fit to the last one, so not too tight anywhere, not too loose anywhere. The medium to darker colors are totally fine and not sheer. It's really just like the super light colors and the whites. This one definitely did show a little bit more sweat than the white, obviously. Colors just show sweat a little bit more, but again, I don't think it's the worst. And again, they also have different options like sleeveless, scoop neck, square neck, long sleeve. If you're interested, this just isn't my personal pick. The next cotton option, we have the Uniqlo mini t-shirt. I got a size small, and this was $14.90. So this is the most affordable option of today. And spoiler, feels like some of the best quality. So this one is a 96% cotton, 4% elastane, very basic shape, and it's not quite ribbed, but it does just feel like a little bit more of a substantial knit compared to the others. It's definitely more of a mid-weight compared to a lightweight. It definitely has more structure to it, and it's very dense. Still definitely has stretch to it, but I'd say it's more of a mid-stretch, not like an ultra high stretch, but definitely enough for what you need it for. The length was 19 inches, so slightly longer than some, but just kind of that perfect high hip length. For me, it's great because I know even if I'm wearing like mid to high rise legging, like I'm always going to be covered. The fit is a little bit more on the semi-relaxed side in my normal size. So personally, for more of a body skimming fit, I would be sizing down. I think I'd prefer an extra small in this. And it definitely has enough stretch to where I'll be able to do that. Unfortunately, I did not get this one in white because it was out of stock in any size that would have been remotely helpful to try on. But given how dense this one is and just kind of stretching it, it should be very opaque in the white, so I wouldn't count on any sheerness. And in terms of sweat, since this one is a little bit thicker, it didn't show sweat quite as fast, but it definitely will show some. So honestly, this one has a great length, great price, great quality, like just all around a win for Uniqlo, so definitely we'll be getting more of these. And lastly, in the cotton section, these ones are actually not made of cotton, but they feel most similarly to cotton, so that's why I'm including them here. This is the American Eagle Hey Baby Waffle Tee. I got a size small in the black and a medium in the white. So this is a polyester viscose spandex blend, and it's a waffle knit, but it definitely has that kind of cotton feel, maybe a little more flow to it than a normal cotton, and it's kind of a light to mid weight with moderate stretch. And unfortunately, I just wasn't loving the fabric of this one. It feels like another fabric that just would kind of lose its shape quickly, so just wasn't loving it. It doesn't have like that good stretch retention. The length is a nice high hip, that 19 inches, which is a really nice length. So I did get a small and a medium. Obviously the medium was just completely relaxed, but in the small, I'd say it's kind of body skimming to slightly relaxed. I definitely had some looser areas. So if you're looking for a snug fit, I would definitely be sizing down. Definitely had a little bit of sheerness in the white. I'd say this is pretty similar to the Aritzia, just kind of in weight and texture, so I'd kind of expect that. But because this is a medium, it's not showing quite as much. It was a little bit hard to tell with the sweat with black and white. I think those are the only two colors offered. I generally try not to choose black because it's kind of hard to show on camera, but I had pretty minimal sweat showing on these. Overall, very basic shape with the crew neck, kind of slightly shorter sleeves, and just a slight scoop hem. But again, personally, I would skip this one just because the fabric wasn't my favorite. All right, that is it for the cottons. Next, we're moving on to Modal Rayon blends. So Modal is actually a type of rayon, and a rayon fabric, I actually never really dove into this before, but Modal and rayon are known for being like very soft, silky, and have a lot of flow and movement to them, also being sweat wicking. And they're actually semi-synthetic fibers made from cellulose from wood or other agricultural products. So it's not cotton, but it still is more on the natural side. We're starting out with the Vuori Pose Fitted Tee. I actually tried this recently in my Vuori review and immediately really loved it. But this time I got an extra small, mostly because the small in the white was sold out. But even last time I felt like I could have used a little bit more of a snug fit, so I did size down. And this one is $58. I hate that I like this one because this is like twice the price, even 3 times the price of some of the other ones today. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt that I do like this one, but we have affordable options. So this is an 87% Modal Rayon, 13% spandex, and it's kind of a mid-weight matte stretchy rib. So this is a rib similar to the cotton ribs, but it just has a little bit more of a flow to it. It's almost more cool to the touch and definitely just a much more high quality, more breathable feel than some of the cotton ribs we've already tried. So I really like this fabric. It definitely has high stretch. And in the extra small, I measured 18 inches. So this is that kind of high hip baby tee fit. So a little bit longer than the waist, but love this length. And in the extra small, I did have a skin tight body skimming fit, but didn't feel too compressive anywhere. So personally, I like sizing down, but if you want a more just like regular body skimming fit, slight loose areas, I would go with your normal size. There was a little bit of sheerness, personally not too much. I'd be okay wearing a nude bra under this, but I feel like if you look really closely with the nude, you can kind of see it. So just be aware of that, but definitely in darker colors, you're completely fine. In terms of the sweat test, definitely a moderate sweat showed, but it actually dried quite quickly. That's the nice thing about having this fabric instead of the cotton. The cotton kind of holds on to sweat a little bit longer, but this dried pretty fast. Overall, a very basic fit with this one with short sleeves, a crew neck, and we do have a little patch logo on the bottom. So a little bit more branded than some of the others today. And lastly, this one is labeled as UPF 30+. So you get some sun protection with this one, which again, you get sun protection with most things. Guess just this one is just tested. So yeah, honestly, I love this one. I love the fabric. I love the length. The fit has great stretch retention and didn't feel like it was stretching out at all. It's just a little bit pricey and I wish it was just a little bit more opaque, but if you're splurging, I do like this one. Next, we have the shirt that I am wearing actually, but I do have another color. We have the Buffbunny Baby Tee. I got a size small in this one, and this one is $34. I do have discount codes for Alphalete and Buffbunny, by the way, so they will be down below. So that brings this one to more like $31. And even though I have a discount code, I will say that this is not my favorite baby tee of the day. I actually don't love it. So this is a 92% modal, 8% spandex. And compared to the Vuori, which is a much more dense ribbed modal, this one is ultra thin, almost silky in appearance, and has a ton of flow to it. Super high stretch, but mostly very thin. So if you're looking for something just super ultra lightweight, this could be for you. Personally, I just want a little bit more thickness. This one measures 17 inches from the shoulder to the hem, and this one is just like a classic waist length. In my normal size small, this one's definitely more body skimming with a little tiny bit of space at the very bottom, but personally I wouldn't size down because I would worry about sheerness. But if you don't care about sheerness, you're just wearing this to the gym with a sports bra underneath, these ones are kind of meant to be worn to the gym, then you definitely could size down just to make sure everything is fully tight. But if you want that kind of body skimming, slightly relaxed fit, normal size. Some notes on the shape of this one, we have a crew neckline, short sleeves. This one does kind of dip down a little bit in the front on the hem and then come up a little bit at the sides. And you have these contouring seams along the body, in the front, as well as the back, and then you do have a Buffbunny embroidered logo on the back left. In terms of sheerness, very sheer. Honestly, every color I have of this one, you can kind of see my nude bra underneath in some lights. And especially if you go for white, they also have bone, you are definitely going to see any nude underneath. So just be aware, these are sheer. And they show lots of sweat and they show it fast. I'm honestly not one to like really care about sweat in general. Like I sweat in my armpits like a normal amount. Who cares? But for some reason, this top and the top we're gonna talk about right after almost just shows sweat so much that it makes me feel a little bit self-conscious about it. Like I'm wearing it right now, we'll see. I'm literally just sitting here. We're showing a good amount of sweat. Like this would not be happening with most of the other tops today. So literally I can get through one set at the gym before we're showing sweat in this. So overall, this one comes in a bunch of cute colors. It's super flattering. I really like the contour seams and it's really soft, but I just wish it was a little bit thicker so we get a little bit more opacity and maybe show a little bit less sweat. And lastly, we have some tees from Oner Active. These are the Oner Mellow soft tops. You'll notice essentially the same as the Buffbunny. Oner did come first. So this is the Oner Active Mellow Soft Mid Short Sleeve Tee. So the mid is the more baby tee length. I also have a full length that we'll talk about next. I got a size small and this is $27. In terms of comparison to the Buffbunny, they have the exact same fabric composition. This is a 92% modal, 8% spandex, just like the Buffbunny. You have the same little contouring seams along the front and along the back. One slight difference is the Oner does have a sewn on patch logo on the bottom right instead of the Buffbunny that has the logo on the bottom left on the back. And the last difference is the Oner actually is an inch shorter. So personally, the Buffbunny length works for me a little bit better. So we kind of already know this fabric because we just reviewed the Buffbunny, and it is the same composition, but you have that lightweight, stretchy modal, ultra stretchy, ultra thin. It has some good movement to it. The length on this one, like I said, an inch shorter than the Buffbunny. So this is more of a cropped length to waist length. So a little bit above my natural waist. For me personally, again, I prefer the Buffbunny length. The fit on this one, I would say, is skin tight to body skimming. So also fits a little bit more snug on me compared to the Buffbunny. I didn't have any extra room at the bottom, but I wouldn't say it's full skin tight because it just didn't have that like tight feeling, almost because the fabric is just so lightweight. And I only got this one in darker colors, but comparing this color to a darker Buffbunny color, I do think that this one's just a little bit more opaque. But a friend of mine does work with Oner and she has the white one, and she said that it's definitely sheer in the white, as to be expected. And the sweat. The sweat is almost worse on these than the Buffbunny ones. They're probably comparable, but literally I wore this to the gym, one set down, the biggest sweat mark ever under my arms. And literally I took the shirt off, and an hour later when I was finished with my workout, it was still like just as dark on the clothes. So it does not dry quickly, and it shows a lot of sweat. So I know people obsess over these tees, and I honestly personally don't really get it. Maybe they'll grow on me. Maybe my mind will change in a couple months. We can refer back to this video and see how I feel. But yeah, I just would prefer something that shows a little bit less sweat. One last thing, we also have this kind of contouring hem, kind of dips down a little bit at the front, comes up a little bit at the side. It's not super exaggerated, but there is a little bit of that going on, just kind of shapes the body a little bit. So these are definitely flattering, just the fabric is not my personal fave. Then we have the Oner Mellow Soft short sleeve tee. This is the full length version. So basically everything similar to what we just talked about. Got a size small, and this one's $30, so a couple more dollars compared to the short. And this one, the full length is 21.5 inches. And on me, it felt like a mid to full hip length. So you're definitely getting a full length, slightly over the hips. I felt like this one was really a skin tight fit, no loose areas, but still super soft and stretchy. So you're not getting compression if that's something you're avoiding. Again, will be sheer in light colors. Again, the sweat is bad. You have those contouring seams on this one as well, the logo on the bottom right, and just a very tiny bit of scooping along the sides, but it's a little bit harder to see because it sits a little lower on the hip and kind of gathers a little bit. So it's nice that they have the full length option. And the last category I am calling Buttery Soft Blends. You guys know, I think the term buttery soft is thrown around way too much in general, but I think that was just the best way to describe these fabrics. These last fabrics are mostly nylon or polyamide elastane blends, so almost more like an athletic material, and they have a really nice brushed outer layer. It just has that buttery feel. Starting out with the Pumiey crew neck top, I got a size small, and this one is a $23.99. If you guys are regulars on the channel, you know I have so much stuff from Pumiey. They're an Amazon brand, and they have really great bodysuits and tops, all made of this super stretchy, nice fabric. So this is a 75% polyester, 25% elastane, and something that Pumiey does that none of the other brands today do. So there are actually 2 layers of this ultra stretchy brushed material, which means we have an opaque white. Like, I don't know why no one else does this, even if just for the white. So this fabric is that kind of ultra soft, stretchy, very slightly brushed material, that buttery soft, if I had to describe it, which I hate to describe it like that, but definitely high stretch. These are super stretchy. And the length on this one is definitely more of a full length top. I would give this an over hip length. From the shoulder to the hem was 20 inches. And I don't really think they have that kind of perfect baby tee length. I do have some crops for them, but they are pretty cropped. So this is kind of the closest thing we're getting. So personally, I wish it was just 2 inches shorter. In terms of the fit, this one is definitely body skimming at the top. It feels very snug, no extra fabric at the top, but at the bottom, partially because this is a longer length, I do get a little bit of extra fabric, so slightly relaxed at the bottom. For me, I probably wouldn't size down because it can get a little bit compressive since you have 2 layers of fabric, but just keep that in mind. In terms of sheerness, honestly, barely any sheerness. You're definitely okay with any sort of nude or lighter bra, but even with the black, you can like barely see it. So that double layered fabric really does wonders for the sheerness. And all of these buttery soft fabrics do pretty well with sweat. So this one does show sweat, but I feel like it dried pretty quickly. It wasn't a super stark showing of sweat, so really not too bad. Overall, very minimalist design, kind of crew neck, almost cap sleeves, full length, minimal seams. One thing I will note, because this one is double thickness, you can see a slight difference in the fabric color of the sleeves versus the body, because the body's double thickness, but the sleeve is just single layer. Doesn't really bother me, but that's something that you can kind of see in the white more so than the other colors. And I will say I have a ton of Pumiey tops, and I'd say like 10% of them have pilled. So this fabric can definitely pill. So this is something I can't really speak to with every item today because I haven't owned all of them for a long time, but I have a lot of Pumiey items. Some of them I've worn a lot that have held up really well, and some of them do have a little bit of pilling. So just kind of keep that in mind. But I think this is a really great basic for an affordable price. And next we have one of my obsessions with baby tees. We have the Aoxjox Geo short sleeve tee, and I have two of them because one of them has a built-in bra, and it also comes with a non-built-in bra option. This is the only top today that has a built-in bra if you are someone who just doesn't want to bother with a bra underneath your tops. So this is $26.99. I did just buy a couple on Black Friday for like $18 though. Keep your eye out for sales. These are a 75% nylon, 25% elastane, and this is definitely one of the thickest tops today. It's basically legging material in top form, and if we look at the structure of this, it's very similar to the Buffbunny, to the Oner Active, with those kind of contouring waist seams on the front and on the back, with that kind of scooping hem that kind of comes up along the sides a little bit. So basically everything I loved about the Oner, except in a fabric that I love even more, because it is not egregious with the sweat and it's opaque. This top is one of my favorites for so many reasons. Even though it's kind of this dense brushed leggy material, still definitely has high stretch. It's just a little bit more compressive than some. So if you don't want to feel compressed, size up. In terms of the length, it's kind of between a waist and a hip length. On the sides, it kind of comes up to a waist length. In the front, it's more of a hip length. So for me, perfect length, I love it. The fit is definitely skin tight, so you're not going to want to size down in this one. It doesn't have loose fabric anywhere for me in either the built-in bra version or the non-built-in bra version. It was kind of hard to show the sheerness with the white because this one has a built-in bra, so wearing a black bra underneath was a little bit difficult to see, but I'd say very minimal sheerness. With the white, I have removable cups in here and you can really barely see them from the front. I'd say it's like 90% opaque. And in terms of sweat, minimal sweat shows. This is kind of a sweat wicking athletic material, and because it's slightly on the thicker side, it also just takes a little bit longer for sweat to show. So definitely much more sweat friendly compared to like the Oner Active, the Buffbunny. I also have had this one for several months now, have worn and have washed it, and I don't have any issues with the fabric quality, so they've been holding up really well. So again, you have the option with no built-in bra, and then you have the built-in bra, but there's also something that's really great about this built-in bra. It's only on the front half, it doesn't extend to the back, so you get this completely seamless look in the back where you don't have any elastic showing, any squeezing, which obviously is normal, but it's just nice to have this like very smooth appearance in the back because the bra is only in the front half. Two tiny things I'll say about this is you do get like a little bit of tugging right where that elastic kind of attaches to the side seam, but for the most part it's like underneath your arms, so no one's really gonna see that anyway. And I think the shelf space is really good and can accommodate larger busts, but I do find that my cup pads want to like slide up a little bit, so I do have to adjust them sometimes. So just keep that in mind, but personally, I prefer the one with the shelf bra, and I love this top so much. Definitely a top pick. Just a couple more to go. We have the SKIMS Soft Smoothing Seamless T-shirt. I got a size small, and this one is $54. So definitely on the pricey side. This is a 93% nylon, 7% elastane blend. And the feel, it has that buttery soft kind of brush feel, and it's like a light to mid-weight, soft, smooth fabric with ultra, ultra high stretch. So out of all of the SKIMS fabrics today, this is definitely my favorite. I'd say this is similar to the Pumiey fabric, except this is thicker because it's only one layer. The Pumiey overall, because it has two layers, is thicker, but as a single layer, this one is thicker. This one's more of a mid-hip length. You can see it's just a little bit on the longer side. I measured 18.5 inches. And this one is a skin tight fit. So honestly, I love the fit of this one. No extra fabric anywhere. Kind of holds you in a little bit, but it's not really shape-weary. There's definitely a little bit of sheerness in these lighter colors, but honestly, better than a lot. Definitely still stick to nude underneath this though. This one also just has that nice smoothing appearance. I know it's in the name, but I really do feel like this one kind of just like smooths everything out. out and has this nice, smooth, seamless appearance. Sweat does show on this one, but it dries pretty quickly. And out of all the Skims ones today, I just feel like I really like the fabric of this. It has this nice sleek look and just has a good fit. Now onto a Skims top that I did not like. I don't understand. This is supposed to be one of their most popular collections. This is the Skims Fits Everybody t-shirt. I got a size small and this one is $48. This one is a 76% polyamide, 24% elastane. And this is literally paper thin, but not even in like a, oh, like it's lightweight. It's like paper thin, almost more sheer than the Buffbunny, and just like stretching my fingers, I can just fully see literally everything through. Like this is just, I don't even know where we'd be wearing this. Like maybe as an undershirt. Do people really wear undershirts? I've never found a purpose for an undershirt, because what's the point of your undershirt if it's also gonna be like completely sheer? Like it's almost like you're wearing nothing. Anyways, this is ultra thin, but definitely very, very stretchy, so high stretch. This one's a little bit on the longer side. This is 20.5 inches, so more of a mid to full hip length. Definitely skin tight up at the top, but kind of more body skimming for me at the bottom. So I'd still probably stick true to size, but just know for me, it wasn't skin tight all the way down like the last top. Sheerness, I don't even need white to know that this is going to be sheer in all of the colors, because even this dark brown is sheer. And for sweat, it shows sweat very quickly, but compared to the Buffbunny and the Oner tops, it actually dries very quickly as well. The fabric is honestly pretty similar to the Pumiey, except definitely thinner, and overall this one is just way too flimsy and thin for the price. I liked the last Skims top, but this one is honestly bad. I do not like it at all. And last but certainly not least, we have the Uniqlo Airism crop. So I know this one is technically labeled as a crop and not as a baby tee, and it's definitely more of a cropped length, but I really wanted to try this Airism fabric, and I'm so glad I did. I got a size small in this one, and this one was $19.90. So again, one of the most affordable options today. It's a 77% recycled polyester, 23% elastane, and it's a light to mid-weight dense brushed material, pretty similar to the Skims smoothing top, except maybe a little bit more opaque than that. This one actually has really good opacity. You can maybe see a little bit of black showing through, but overall pretty opaque. Definitely high stretch on this one as well. And in terms of the length, this one's definitely one of our most cropped options today. I would consider this cropped and not really baby tee waist length. So for me, I wish it was just an inch or two longer. And very similar to the last Uniqlo one, this one is definitely a little bit on the more relaxed side. So it has a semi-relaxed fit. Personally, I'd be sizing down to an extra small for that body skimming kind of classic baby tee fit. Also very minimal sweat showing on this one, dries very quickly. This fabric is really good for that. And also just has this very seamless look because all of the hems are actually bonded edges. So they kind of just seamlessly blend. They don't have any seams. So personally, I'd be sizing down in this one. I wish it was a little bit longer, but this fabric was really one of the best today. So I definitely will be looking into more Uniqlo Airism. All right, guys, that is it for all of the baby tees. Again, there should be something for everyone in terms of personal preferences. Just because I didn't like something doesn't mean someone else won't. But we do have some awards as always with these kind of roundup reviews. It's nice to kind of wrap things up at the end. In terms of the most opaque white top, that award goes to Pumiey. It has 2 layers of that fabric. Honestly, you are okay even without a bra in that one. The compression from the 2 layers, the opacity is just great. The most flattering shape for me goes to Aoxjox. I love those little contouring seams, the slight scoop up at the side of the hem, which is similar to the Oner and the Buffbunny, but I just love the shape you get from that kind of more dense, thick Aoxjox fabric. So that one honestly might be my favorite of all. The best cotton blend goes to the Uniqlo mini tee. As soon as it comes back in stock in more colors, I'm getting more colors. I am sizing down though, but that was the cheapest one today, and the quality of the cotton felt better than most of the other cottons. And the best textured tee goes to the Vuori ribbed tee. Unfortunately, it's one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive options, but they just did a good job with that one. Could be a little bit more opaque, but that is a good tee. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me forever to film this, but honestly, I had a great time. I love doing these roundup reviews. We get to try so many different brands and just learn so much. Let me know if you guys have any requests in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!